Hi everybody, my name is Lauren and welcome to the Teen Knits podcast. I want to thank all returning viewers for coming back and hello to all the new viewers. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you see my arms moving, it's because I have Carl here today. He was just brushing himself and now he's settling in my lap. So he's happy this afternoon on a snowy day. We've had about 3 to 4 inches of snow already, and they're predicting about 8 to 12 more. So a nice cold snowy day in central New York. So I guess a perfect day for podcasting. So again, this is the Teen Knits podcast, and I'm Lauren. We do have a group on Ravelry, the Teen Knits podcast. Teen Knits is one word. And since the last episode, there's been more chatter, which is good. And talking about needles, talking about projects, even about the knit along, which I'll get into a little bit more in a little while. But first, I want to talk about the tea that I'm drinking today. I have in my Aunt Lauren mug, established 2016. Yes, Carl. My niece was born in September, so I got this mug last January, which was pretty exciting. She just turned 5 months old the other day. But anyway, in my mug, I am drinking Tazo tea in the Zen flavor, and it is has quite a bit of a minty flavor, not too strong, but it is a green tea with lemongrass and spearmint. You can see as far as the caffeine, it's a 3 out of 5. I really like this tea. I don't find that it has as much caffeine as a black tea. I find it calming. Like if my stomach is a little off or if I'm really tired, it's just helping that soothing feeling. Or even after a long day when I want some tea, but I want something that's not gonna kind of have me wired, because caffeine does affect me quite a bit. Fortunately, I didn't make it as hot today as I have in past episodes, so it is drinkable. So that's my tea. I really like it. It comes in a box. There are 20 bags that come in the box, and they come individually wrapped with tags on them. Not necessarily my favorite as far as like all the wrapping, but I really do like the tea. I do think that you can find this in the organic section as well. As far as the caffeine, the 3 out of 5 is 31 to 45 milligrams. And the ingredients say green tea, lemon verbena leaves, spearmint leaves, lemongrass, and natural flavors. So I think it's pretty mild. Tazo is a big name brand of tea, but I really, really like it. So it's comforting on a day like today, although I probably could use the caffeine, as with this weather coming in, I've had a bit of a migraine for the last day or so and didn't sleep all that great last night. Anyway, you're all pretty much here for the knitting and to say hi, but I don't have any completed finished objects in the last 2 weeks. As I just finished the 3rd week of my semester, things are really underway and a lot going on. So in the evenings I don't have as much, or just in the days in general, I don't have as much time to knit as I did when I was on my break. So there are unfortunately some days where I haven't even picked up my needles. I'm not getting home until about 8 o'clock at night, being gone for about 12 hours. The last thing, all I really want to do is just sit on the couch and be like a blob. And so not as much has gotten done in the last 2 weeks. But I do have some hos, and for you, those of you who don't know what a hoe is, it's a half-finished object. And so that brings to my works in progress. Bye, Carl. So the first one I have is my sneaker socks. These are the Sneakers colorway in Juliana's fiber. And I finished these I guess on Super Bowl Sunday. Originally, for the recipient, has bigger feet than me, and by measuring, knowing how long their foot is, and how long it was supposed to be. I measured everything properly, and somehow when I did the toe and the toe decreases, it ended up being probably 1.5 inches too long. So I had to frog back pretty much almost an entire color repeat before I started from when the toe was finished to where I had to go back to decrease. So the toe had ended with the blue, and I had to rip all the way back to this blue and then do the toe decreases so I could Kitchener. But at least sock 1 is done, so I can repeat this for sock 2. I did an afterthought heel. Well, I mean, I did it afterwards, but I had a bit of a forethought since I put in some scrap yarn while making it for the placement of the heel so that I could pull out that scrap or waste yarn afterwards and then put the heel in, and therefore it kept this striping pattern instead of messing up the striping pattern. It was just a vanilla sock. I cast on 56 stitches on this. I did a 2x2 ribbing at the top, then knit the cuff a little bit longer than I normally do, then knit the foot, and then put the heel in. I did follow the directions for the heel as Susan B. Anderson's Smooth Operator socks for the heel itself, but I'm pretty happy with the socks. I just have to do the second one. I haven't cast on for that one yet. I have entered these socks into the Whip It in the Butt 2017 and the Downseller Studios podcast knit along for getting whips done in 2017, which means that you had to start any project before 2017 started. So I started these actually in December, I think right after Christmas, and said, well, let me get these done in the month of February. So I have to knit the other one in the next 2 weeks, as today is February 12th, and there are 28 days in February, so I have about 2 weeks to knit the second one. And that's being kept in my Suburban Stitcher drawstring bag, and here is the rest of the ball. You've seen it before, so I'm not going to pull out the label and show you again. So that's where sock number 2 is going to be held. The other half object or hoe that I have is I finished the first sock for the Desert Vista Dye Works, the third annual monthly sock knit along, and this is using the Happy Birthday Cupcake colorway, and it's got pink and the brown. I'm guessing a chocolate cupcake, which sounds yummy, and then the speckled maybe frosting. And this, as you can see, it has an actual pattern to it. I did a 2x2 rib at the top. I did cast on 64, so in this pattern it was the medium size. And this is the Swirl-E sock pattern by Susie White, who is Prairie Girl Susie of the Prairie Girl podcast, Prairie Girl Knit and Spin podcast. And I really liked it. It was a very quick knit. I did 8 repeats for the leg, and then the heel, I did the OMG heel by Megan Williams, and then just did the foot, and I think it was 6 repeats for the foot, and then decreased for the toe. And I finished this one yesterday. I really like it. It's a little loose because I cast on 64 versus the normal 56. I did use a 9-inch circular for this sock. I normally use double pointeds. I did get a 9-inch circular. The last time I used 9-inch circulars, I hurt my hand, and so I hadn't used them for a while. So I got a different brand, and I don't remember the name of it. But this one didn't hurt my hands. So I think that if I was to do them again, I would do the size small, 56. I think I cast on 64 because I didn't know if it was going to fit on the needles as well, the 9-inch. But I think if I did the 56, it would still be okay. So that is the first sock. And then I started the second sock. And in my woolly bags bag, I have the beginnings of the second sock. So you can see what I have so far. and I've done 4 repeats, so half of the leg for this sock. After my week this past week, I really had all good intentions of doing work all day yesterday or being productive. And after the week that I had, I pretty much called it a lazy day and knit and took a nap and relaxed. And that was a nice thing. So that's what I have as far as my works in progress. I did not touch my Find Your Fade shawl this past week, or the past 2 weeks. If you remember last time, I showed you how my size 4 needle fell apart. And I did contact Knit Picks, and even though I had said that I had the needles for a while, and I just wanted to let them know what happened, their customer service was really good, and they said, we'll send you out some new ones. And they said, do you have fixed or interchangeables, and which brand, which variety that you have. And so I had the Caspian size 4 interchangeables, and they put one in the mail, and I received it in less than a week. So I was not expecting that. I just wanted to let them know what had happened. But they were kind enough to send a replacement in the mail. So I did get those, but I have not picked up my Find Your Fade shawl at all in the last 2 weeks. So things have been pretty hectic around here. So, and then the other project that you've seen before is my sock yarn blanket. And yes, I'm supposed to do 5 squares a week. I only did 2 last week, and I haven't done any for this week. So I'm a little behind. So I have to catch up with 8 squares, probably some good TV or something, and I'll be able to catch up. But we'll see. I may be playing catch up for a few weeks, but we'll see how that goes. So it's on my blanket, it's on my couch over here, and the scraps are over on this side of me. Thankfully, Carl doesn't touch any of the yarn, and I don't have a knotted mess around the house. So it's not that it's out of sight, out of mind. It is, the blanket is sitting on the couch. I have to be careful not to stab myself with the needles when I sit down, but that is something that is definitely on the radar to get done and to work on. So that brings me to, that's all my works in progress. So it's not a whole lot. Work is getting in the way of knitting, but I really enjoy my job. I do like what I'm doing, teaching students, educating them, teaching them about science. So it's not that it's a bad thing, but the priorities are just shifted now that school semester's in session. And so then it brings me to something that I have planned to cast on, and several of you have already cast on for this or have planned for your socks, and this is the Cookie A sock knit along, and it started February 1st and runs until March 31st. I had said I was going to donate a prize of a pattern, and I have received offers for other prizes. Some yarn has been sent to me as a donation, and we have some others that might be in the works, either for these prizes, this knit along, or future ones. So we definitely have some prizes for T-Knits going forward, which I'm really excited about. So thank you, donors. You know who you are. I have to get back in touch with a couple of you, and I will soon, I promise. So this knit along is knitting a Cookie A, the designer Cookie A sock pattern of hers. She does have some free ones on Knitty, where the monkey socks are and the Pomodamus socks are. And then she has a bunch of paid for patterns as well. She has 2 books, Sock Innovation and Knit Sock Love, that have some patterns in them. And then she has some individual patterns, quite a few individual patterns on Ravelry itself, which you can buy. I have narrowed it down. I have not cast mine on yet. I have narrowed it down. I think I might do the ornate socks. They are pretty elaborate and complicated, and if not those, then the Pomodamus socks. I have both patterns, or Pomodamus is free on Knitty. I do have the ornate socks pattern, and I haven't decided which yarn I'm going to do it in. I do have 2 solids or tonals, and this is from Cookie A Sock Club in 2013, and it is from Tanis Fiber Arts, and it is the Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon, so perhaps not for socks, but I'm not sure. And this is the Julep colorway. I'm guessing May. That's to go with mint juleps in the Kentucky Derby. And then this is Pagewood Farm. The color is Cape Cod Cranberry, and it is a cranberry color. So it is more of a solid tonal where you'd be able to see the elaborate design in Cookie socks versus a variegated or self-striping where you may not see them as well. So it'll be one of these two. My guess is probably this one. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to cast on for these socks. I have a lot kind of in the works for the next 2 months, so the timing is kind of like, hey, let's throw another project in there, and when are they going to get done? But that's okay. I'll at least cast them on and get started on them. Whether I finish with the rest of you or not, well, that's another story. I did also get in the mail this yarn, and it is from Spencer Hill Naturally Dyed Yarn, and Barb uses natural dyes for her yarns, and my Quicksilver by Melanie Berg, I think I wore that in a previous episode, that was made out of the Spencer Hill Naturally Dyed yarns. Now, Barb sent me this yarn as a kind of a test knit. It is a single. It is 100% superwash merino, 400 yards, 100 grams. So she doesn't sell this product yet, but she wanted to see how it knits up, my thoughts on it. So now that I've shown this here, I can wind it up, and my plans are to knit like a lacy scarf out of it. As you can see, they are the singles. It is pretty soft, and it is a more of a purple, indigo kind of purpley kind of color. I think that's kind of accurate. I'm sorry if you hear the neighbor's dog barking. There are people that went for a walk out in the snow, and if he sees people he doesn't know, he does start barking. And then, so that's kind of on the needles coming up. I'll have to start this in the next 2 weeks. She wanted feedback by the middle of February, and today's the 12th. So I have to get on that. And one of the other pretty exciting things that's going on for me is that on my campus, they don't have a crocheting or knitting club. And during our staff development workshops in January, I offered a how to knit workshop for faculty and staff, and several people showed up, someone from student activities, and actually the vice president of student life showed up. Been very excited. So then they wanted to offer knitting workshop to students and maybe start some sort of knitting and crocheting club. And so we held our first, within a week, we got all this together, and we put up signs, and student activities paid for knitting needles and yarn, and we had 4 people sign up for this workshop last Wednesday. 14 showed up, so which was pretty exciting and pretty startling because we did not have enough supplies for everyone. Thankfully, I brought in some of my own knitting needles and yarn, and we let students use those and borrow them for the evening, but we definitely put in an order for more, to purchase more needles and yarn for this week, because we'll have another workshop this week and the following week. And the girls it was all girls. They were very excited. Some had knit before. Some wanted to learn different stitches. So one girl knew how to knit. She did not know how to purl. So we taught her how to purl because she wanted to learn how to do stockinette stitch. Some girls knew how to knit, but they'd only knit like scarves. So they wanted to knit something else. And some didn't know how to knit at all. And as a whole, they all picked it up pretty quickly, which was really exciting. So we had them casting on, just using the knitted cast on, and then knitting, and then we even got to purling. So we had them actually doing some stockinette stitch because they were knitting flat. So they would knit one direction and purl the other direction. And they were all very excited, and they were able to take home their needles and their yarn and work on it. So I think a lot are going to come back this week. Some of them said they wanted to learn how to knit blankets, or they wanted to knit socks or hats or sweaters. So I have to look in the next couple of days, or even in the next week, for some simple hat patterns, some simple sock patterns, some simple sweaters, or some blankets. So if any of you have some suggestions for new knitter projects, something other than a dishcloth and a scarf, that would be really cool. So you can share that in the Ravelry group, either in the episode thread or start a new thread. Excuse me. And so that's pretty exciting. So by the time I podcast again, we'll have had our first 3 sessions, and then we have a break. We have our midwinter break, and then my guess is that we will have some more meetings after. Whether this turns into an actual organization on campus or not, I think time will tell. But there were a lot of people that were interested, people who also said to me they couldn't come this past Wednesday, but they'd like to come in the future. So I'm really excited about that. I'm starting something new on my campus, and we'll see where it goes. But they were really, really, really excited, and I was really happy about that. So I think that's about all that I have for this week, looking at my notes. I know it is a shorter episode than it has been in the past. I just don't have as much to show you guys because I have been working a whole lot more and grading more papers. I was grading labs this morning and then took a break to kind of sit down and chat with you guys. So I hope that you are all doing well. I hope that you are staying warm and you don't have to shovel too much snow. I've gone out and shoveled once, and I'll probably have to shovel another 2 or 3 more times by the time this storm is over. That's okay. It is winter, and we are in central New York, and winter finally showed up. Last year we didn't have much of a winter, so it's kind of nice to see snow. If we're going to have cold weather, I like to see the snow actually come. But finding a place to put it can be a challenge. Those of you who live in warm climates, I'm a little jealous because I'd like some warm weather right now. But that's all right. It'll come. It's just living in New York. We've got 4 seasons. So when I lived in Texas, we had 2, hot and hotter. So that's all I have for the week. I hope you guys have a good 2 weeks or so. I have to figure out the next time I'll podcast. I will be going away, so I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be. But check out the Teen Knits podcast group in Ravelry. We have discussions. We have one on the different types of needles that we're using, or our favorites, different projects, and even the Cookie A knit along chatter thread, and then a finished objects thread. So hope you guys have a good 2 weeks, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.